just a second. Let's see. Now the question becomes, well, Steph, I'm waiting to have Mel get in here. If you could message her and let her know we're live, she might not know because I can't talk to her while I'm doing this. We are not technology savvy when it comes to this. So bear with us. I'm going to hang out for just a few minutes. Wait for the bestie to hop on. It's singing a little song. What would you like to hear? Any requests? I gotta get my notes ready while we're waiting. So I apologize. I'm going to apologize because this is going to play back on Facebook. So I apologize to anybody who voted for the Facebook Live. When we were researching and testing it yesterday, I come to find out, well, they no longer allow you to invite people into your Facebook Live, so you can't Facebook Live with your friends. So we had to switch over to Instagram Live. Not entirely sure if we're gonna be able to do that right now, so we're just gonna wait. Hey, there she is. Okay. Oh, yep. View. Is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? I'm waiting for. Oh, you back? Oh. Yes!
We did it.
That's freaking out. She's like, what? Sorry. Just a little excited. Oh, book club. Is it book clubs? Whatever it is.
What clumps? I don't know.
I don't know.
Your hair looks much better than it did earlier today.
What?
Your hair looks much better than it did earlier today.
Water does wonders.
Right? I got a little product going on, but then I have this twangy little curl that's like, nope, fuck you, nature.
I feel you.
I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna be like, who had this hairstyle that was like, and it was like glued to their head in the 80s, and there was like 2 or 3 little curls that were all like.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Are you talking about? I don't know. Was it Madonna? Did Madonna have that hair? Like coming off of like Betty Boop. That's who it is. It's that Betty Boop swirl. That's.
Yeah. Well, Betty Boop can go to hell because I'm not feeling it.
All right. Well, we got Steph in here, so that's fantastic. I know most of the people I was telling for the playback, because this will get played back on Facebook. Mm-hmm. I was apologizing to those who voted for the Facebook playback because, well, technology. And that they scrapped the whole letting your friends join. So
yeah.
Hit a punt. I'm used to that.
I'm trying to get the best light, and it's just not working for me.
You're good.
Okay.
Your light's fine. I got my ceiling fan is whirling back there. So
whirling.
So good news for you guys out there in the interwebs. We're gonna be cut off in an hour.
So no 2-hour podcast. So okay, we have 1 viewer now.
Yep, that's you.
No, it's Steph. I think Steph's still here.
Okay. Oh, there's 2. All right.
Whoever's here, say hi.
Yeah, say hi. Tell us where you're from. Hello.
If we don't already know.
If we don't already know. You know.
Okay, good. Thanks, Steph.
There you go. Your lighting's good, babe. Your lighting's good. So today we're going to be talking about, we're going to deep dive and have a lovely conversation in the second part of our 3-part series under the fear, topic of fear. Today we're going to talk about fear of rejection and abandonment.
Awesome.
Because that's fun for everybody to go through.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. In fact, one of my friends had watched the last podcast, and she's like, I touched on so many of those things because I had kind of dipped into the fear of rejection thing and whatnot. So hopefully she will tune in. Hi, Brandy. Hopefully she will tune in and be able to see tonight's podcast. So
cool. I will. I'll also post it on the YouTube channel too. Once we're done, the whole thing has been.
All right, let's dig in. We can't chitter chatter.
I know, because we're gonna get cut off. Oh, and when it gets good, that's where we're gonna get cut off. You watch.
I know.
So, and you and I had talked about this a little bit via Facebook Messenger about how to overcome fear of rejection and abandonment. But I want to start with
pills and booze. Or maybe not.
Maybe not. I want to start with asking you a question, which is how I normally start things, because I just like that.
Yeah.
Because I know you and everybody out there who knows, our friendship has spanned over 30 years. Maybe not everybody knows. Maybe we have some new viewers that have found us and don't understand. Yeah, that this friendship has spanned 3 decades in October. Yo. Right?
You've been in my life longer than my husband has.
Yeah. Yep, sure have. In any case, I know your history. So I know the various ways that you have literally felt, and rightly so, abandoned.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So when we talk about fear of rejection and abandonment, it stems from childhood for you. It stems
6 months old.
Yes. It stems from a very real place. It's not one of those false expectations appearing real, which is the acronym that I like to use in regards to fear. It stems from a place. So I would like
oh shit.
you.
Yeah.
I would like you to talk about. I don't want to talk about for your parents and the loss of your mother. That's going to be a whole other topic for a whole other day.
That's a whole other podcast.
That's a whole other podcast. But when we talk about rejection and abandonment, I want to ask you about your relationships over the years with boyfriends, with partners, with significant others, and how you have taken from childhood, loss of parents, very, very young, and how that spirals and stacks onto what you carry with you into different relationships. Who was your first boyfriend?
God, I hope he's not watching. No, I don't mind if he is. It was Mike. His name was Mike.
Mike. Okay.
Yeah.
And how long were you and Mike together? Were you actually together, or is this a crush, or like?
He was my first love. I would, for what I understood love to be. We met when I was, I think it was the summer that I was 12, or that I turned 13. Did I turn 12? I can't remember. Summer of '86. So I had to have been 12. And so it was just kind of one of those junior high, let's go together, and then, to heck with it, we'll do something next week, and, it bounced back and forth, but, I would say probably on and off for 3 or 4 years, maybe. Lots of back and forth, though. Lots of back and forth.
You guys are still friends today?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm friends with him, and I'm friends with his wife, and we still keep in touch. They come see me and Nate when they're in town, and we haven't yet quite gotten out to where they're at, but we plan to. So
Okay. Did you have many relationships when you were younger?
I didn't actually. Mike was the only one for the longest time. And, we got into high school and I moved schools, which pretty much kind of put an end to that. We lost touch and he started dating somebody else. And I started dating somebody from another school closer to mine when I was about 16, I think. I had a lot of crushes, but I never really had the courage to go, and tell anybody about it. I was shy in high school. I really was. I know that some people may not believe that, but I was very painfully aware of myself, and I didn't believe in myself enough to go forward and tell anybody.
Was there ever a time where you actually got the courage where you did that and it did not go the way that you wanted it to? What's the first time that you remember actually being, rejected?
Oh God.
So shot down.
I don't know that there was really a time that I was rejected because I never really put myself out there. I dated a guy when I was 16 and I broke up with him because I ended up kind of crushing on somebody else that was a little more mature and a little more suited to what you and I had been through. I met that person through Yabe, and but nothing ever happened from that. I mean, we went to prom one time and we just stayed friends. So the first time that I really experienced any kind of rejection per se, I don't know. I think it probably goes back to finding out, because I was a virgin until I was like 16. So it was probably not a direct rejection or a direct anything like that, but it was finding out that that my boyfriend of on and off 3 to 4 years had lost his to someone else. I think that was a real stab in the heart, and I think it kind of messed me up. I think that finding out that he had done that really kind of put me in a place of, okay, well, he's moved on. So it was not anything direct. I mean, he didn't directly reject me. It was just kind of a happening of circumstances. But the first breakup, probably senior year. I had been dating a guy that somebody at work had set me up with, and he was, God, I was a fixer. I'm still a fixer. But he had a lot of issues. He was a compulsive liar, which I did not know at the time. But he broke up with me, and I spent New Year's Eve at a couples party by myself. So I think that was probably the first real, outright rejection. He ended up spending it with someone else, and I found out later. So.
Well, that ties right into abandonment now, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then shortly thereafter, I met my husband, my first husband. So.
Yep. We'll talk about that in another podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I know you're excited about that.
Oh, thrilled. Can't wait for that one.
I think that rejection and abandonment, regardless of which one you're talking about, I believe all goes right back to our self-worth.
Oh, absolutely.
And as most things, I believe, stem and go back to our self-worth. And
yes,
think of ourselves and our self-esteem and all of that. We talked a little bit in the last podcast. We touched a little bit on that, and that your fear of writing a book. And I think that's a whole other topic. I think that when we talk about fear of rejection, you're afraid that your readers are going to reject what this new book is about.
Yeah.
because of the series prior, and we spoke about how I think you might just find a whole different set of readers, and that's okay too. Okay too. I wanted to kind of help you because you asked me, I want to talk about overcoming fear of rejection, but not sure how. So there are some things that work for me. I'll give you an example of the first time that I felt rejected. I have always.
I think I know this story.
I don't know that you do.
I don't?
I don't.
30 years and we're still discovering new things.
You might. Make us soulmates? You might. Well, this podcast is bringing out all kinds of stuff from me.
Yeah, it is.
Lord help the public. Yeah, it was well, first I'll go back even further. I'll go back to the first time where I had a fear of abandonment. And my fear of abandonment was I was 5 years old in Germany, and we were upstairs in the attic, which was like a storage unit, and we had this red toy chest, this, you know what I'm talking about, like leather.
Yeah.
Leather one, and it had like black piping. I just remember this thing because I opened it up and I climbed in and I was trying to play hide and seek with my sisters, who decided that they weren't good. They kind of peeked their head in there and then they left me.
Ooh, not good.
The door, it was dark.
Sure.
And so I was in the toy chest for quite some time, just hanging out. Hi, cat. I was just hanging out, just minding my own self business, and just waited a little bit longer. And they never came, and so I had to fumble my way through the dark to get to the door to try and get out. It's one of the reasons why I don't do well in confined spaces.
Understandable.
Well, I put myself in the toy chest, which was not a big deal. It was the idea that when I opened it, it was still dark, like pitch black, like literally had to crawl and like try to find my way around the room. It took me forever to find the door. Yeah, pitch black, sealed. Like there was like not even a light on the bottom of the door. Like, so that's my foray into feeling abandoned. That's fun.
Understandable.
Ever since I was a little girl, though, I had no problems being by myself. So
I didn't either.
Yeah, being on my own was never. I was such a tomboy that, I was always we had this small house on about an acre of land that also had it was a lot that there was supposed to be a house next to it that was never built on. So we purchased that lot. Now we're in Iowa at this point. We're out of Germany. We're in Iowa. And we had a garden, and then we had this behind the house, way back behind the house, we had a shed, we had our garden, like, I'm talking full garden, like green beans and tomatoes and like garden, not flower bed, but garden. And behind there we had a pussy willow tree, which was like my favorite tree to sit in and read. Behind that was an alley, and we had it lined was peony bushes, pink peonies, and I would be back in the alley making mud pies in the dirt, hiding, because you couldn't really see. Like, that's where I was. Or we had this tree that was along the main street, Cornell, the main street, and I would go. My sister and I, she can attest to this. She has liked our page, so she might watch this later. We would climb up in the tree along the street, and we would throw berries at cars, and I'd fling them at the car windows. Like, my love of climbing trees started very, very young. In any case, I got off track. Shocking.
This is how we do it.
Shocking. I know. So that was my first. Good evening. Charles and or Morgan are in my tree right now. first foray into feeling abandoned. My first bout of rejection. Like really feeling dejected and old enough to understand what that meant, or what that felt like, you know what I mean? Because when you're younger and you're a kid and you're like, no, I don't want to play with you, you don't really think about that in the moment. It's really when you're in your older teenage years when it really starts to affect you emotionally, because we're in such a weird point in our lives anyway. On top of which, you and I have both gone through traumatic experiences and losing our mothers. That's pivotal turning points in our teenage years. To that there's my abandonment there.
Right.
I'm going to move into fear of rejection. So here's how every time I've put myself out there, I've been shot down, and I have worked through therapy and through self-help to realize that in order to change that, I need to stop doing it. So,
I don't think that's necessarily.
Nope, it is, because my choice in doing so just sends me down it's just not good. So we've decided we're just going to table that and not do that anymore, and that'll be fine.
I don't think that's healthy, though.
Oh, no. For this particular girl, it is. Now, I'm talking about when it comes to, like, meeting potential suitors, if you will. I'm not a dater, so it's not something that I'm just gonna, I don't go to bars, I don't drink, so I'm not gonna be picking up guys at a bar. Like, I was never built that way. Right. Never drunk a day in my life. So, like, that's just not me. So when I talk about this, it's just, for me, I go into such a downward spiral of, you know what, I'm okay just being in my bed and curling up and never coming out of my bed again, because I never want to feel that way. So to prevent that from happening, we just don't do that anymore. Here's my first bout of rejection. I don't know if you noticed. Lord help me.
No last names.
You might. No, I can give names, because it
no last names, though.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I won't give any last names. High school. Prom. Okay. I was in love with the captain of the football team.
Oh, yeah. I've heard this story.
You know this story?
I know this story. But they don't know this story.
Really? In any case, he was one of the reasons why I managed the football team. He was, in my eyes, beautiful, highly unattainable, very much out of my league.
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh, no. Back then, when I was shy and insecure and completely invisible, we're talking high school, dude, completely invisible, like, had not grown emotionally.
I apologize for this.
Oh, it's all right.
Stay.
It's okay. Public is cool with it. Thanks, Steph. Our comment. He was 6'4", and I was always tall. Okay, dark hair, like
he was hot.
Oh God,
he was beautiful. And we didn't go to the same.
No.
Huh?
No, we didn't go to the same school.
Nope. But I know exactly who it is.
Well, yeah, because he went to play pro ball, so it's.
Well, no, I knew him from when he was in high school and college.
Oh, well, yeah, because he was a big college star, too.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, so he, his name was Ross. Of course his name was Ross, right?
Of course it was.
Of course it was. God, it was so beautiful. I used to just, like, sit on the school field after helping warm him up, warm all the courts up and warm the kickers up and all and I would just watch him. All my friends thought I was stupid. He was hot and he knew it. You know, the typical jock of, and to top it off, he was wicked smart, wicked smart, like AP everything on top of being an athlete. And he had to be because he was getting a scholarship to go to University of Iowa, where he was a star athlete there, played tight end.
People are Googling this shit out of University of Iowa right now.
Anyway, so come to find out, he had this girlfriend. Her name was Stephanie, and she was captain of the cheerleading squad. So wasn't that just so stereotypical? And I was like Molly Ringwald, 16 Candles, and he was like Jake Ryan, except for I never got the guy at the end of, never got the guy. He had broken up with her, and I thought it would be like my window of opportunity to try and, get a date for the prom. So I asked him in an empty hallway in the middle of the school. He told me that he was gonna go with Stephanie. The courage, if you could imagine, you know what I was like when we met.
Yeah, I've talked about it numerous times.
You can imagine how mortified I was. And because it wasn't going to be a quiet thing. It wasn't going to be like, oh, I could just walk away from this. I don't know. He's got to tell his friends.
Okay, I didn't know that part of this.
Oh, yeah. Who teased me mercilessly? Yeah. So that would be my first bout of rejection, which went on. That would not be the first time I encountered.
No, it wouldn't be.
No, I went to Iowa the summer after we graduated, University of Iowa. We had reconnected after graduation, and I went to go visit him, and that ended really poorly because I went to the facility where he was working out to wait for him. And I waited for him for like 3 hours. And he was downstairs. And I couldn't go down there because I wasn't a student. Like, I didn't have like a pass to get down. So I literally was like waiting in the lobby of this place for like 3 hours. And he came up and was very nonchalant about it. And it was just like, it was not a good situation that came out of that. It was really bad for me. The whole experience was really super bad.
He was bad.
Yeah, and he had a great career both in college and for the time that he was in the NFL, and after he got drafted, I was super happy for him, and we reconnected again during the early part of his NFL career, but it was never going to go anywhere, no matter how much I wanted it to. And that'll stem into, fear of the unknown and the uncontrollable, which we'll go into next week. But that was like the single moment for me of that feeling of rejection, of not being good enough, of not being pretty enough or cool enough, or back to that whole self-worth thing. But I based every interaction with any guy that I thought that I was just had a crush on, any interaction, I based it off of that experience. So I went from that feeling of rejection to then after graduating and meeting Jim when I was 19 and having him cheat on me and me basically catching him doing it, there's a rejection there.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so every time it goes back to that feeling, that get it off of me, that so any interaction I typically have with guys that I are like I'm crushing on, and but I feel are unattainable, it just knocks me down a peg, and it makes me not want to pursue that even further. So I just don't. I mean, I do, but I don't.
Yeah. Hi, Jess.
Hi, Jess. So that's a little story for those of you who want a little insight into me. We won't go into the rest of my disasters, particularly in the online world. What?
Oh, come on, Soccer Steve was awesome.
Soccer Steve, Lord.
No, I think that, you know, you and I, we've always talked about how, you know, we're yin and yang. You are one who, you know, retreats and licks your wounds, and you huddle back up at home and heal whatever you feel that has been hurt or broken or whatever. And I am more the person who says fuck you and gets back on the horse and says, okay, let's try a different horse. You know, I was officially divorced 6 days. And most of you probably have heard the story. I was divorced 6 days. The process had been going on for several months, but I met my husband 6 days after my divorce was final. And we were engaged within 3 months and married within 6 months, and we've been 20 years plus since then. So I've never been one to kind of reel from a rejection externally. I work on my shit in private. I don't know if you call it multitasking or what, but I just I can't explain it. I don't know if it's daddy issues. I don't know if it's abandonment issues. I don't know what it is. It's something, regardless of what it is, except for my writing career. Whatever it is, I get back on the horse, and I've always been that way. Literally, I got bucked off of a horse when I was like 5 years old, and my dad was not happy with the horse and took a couple of lashes on it, and then he plopped me right back up on the horse, and he's like, "You're not gonna let it break you." And I kind of went, "But my butt hurts." And he's like, "Nope, you're not letting her break you. You're getting your butt back up on the horse. I don't care how sore it is." And so I've kind of taken that with me since I was 5 years old. You know, it's not that I can't imagine my life without a man. It's not that I can't imagine my life alone. I spend a lot of time alone, actually. You know, my husband's an on-the-road truck driver, and he's gone a lot. He was gone for the last... he's been home the last 2 weekends, but before that, he was gone for 5 weeks. So I spent a lot of time alone, and I've been able to do a lot of what I enjoy doing when he's not here, because he and I, miraculously enough, we don't have a lot of the same interests. You know, I'm more binging on Netflix and scrolling through my phone or whatever, and he's just not that kind of person. So it's nice to have that solitude, but for me, when it comes to the end of the day, I want to be able to text or call, you know, if he's not home, or I want to be able to reach out to someone and say, you know, hey, this is how my day went. And friends, for some reason, I always fear. Here's that fear again, and I know that it's, you know, the anagram that you use, but I always feel like I'm imposing on their lives, or that I'm interrupting something, or that I'm too much to take, or because I am a lot to take. You've been friends with me for 30 years. Come on.
But
no, because I feel things so deeply and wholly as an empath, everything affects me so deeply. And I have so much emotion, and I've hated that for years. And I hate the fact that my husband is not that way. You know, he's able to let something just, you know, go and he's fine. But for me, I dwell on it and I dwell on it and I get inside my own head and it just messes everything up. But, you know, my husband told me, he's like, you know, Mel, he goes, people would rather, I think, be passionate and be able to process their feelings the way that you do rather than be like me where I bottle everything up and explode every 5 years, you know? So, I guess for me, I just kind of, I tuck it away, and I set my expectations low. I don't expect a lot from people, and that way I'm not disappointed when they don't follow through, or when they don't do what they're going to say, or they ghost, or they come up with other reasons to not be there, or whatever the case is. I just expect very little from other people. So, I mean, it's healthy and it's not healthy, because that way every time someone does follow through, I'm pleasantly surprised. So,
who are you telling?
Right?
Bien. Who are you telling?
I know.
I've been on my own, living alone for the last decade, so that I had no problem being on my own. But yeah, that fear of rejection. Hey, Dutch. Shedding her tribble at the moment.
Yeah, everybody in my house is shedding their tribble. I looked like a freaking fur covered whatever the other day.
Tribble. What? I'm just leave that ball of hair right there. I'll pick it up later.
How are we doing our time? Are we doing okay?
It doesn't tell me until we have like 2 minutes left. So that's great. That's fine.
We're gonna be mid-thought.
That's how that's gonna be. It's gonna be a mid-thought. I wanted to, what do you do, like, in those moments? Are you, in those moments of feeling like a burden to somebody, or, impeding on their time?
Hello. What? Tip your camera down a little bit. I'm getting like from here up.
Oh, really?
There we go. Yeah.
That's weird, because I can see, like, all of this.
All right.
In my view. That's a lot. That's a lot for people. How lost my train of thought? Well, when you are feeling like you're going to be a burden on somebody, or impeding on their time, or posing on their time, I should say. Are you aware of that feeling in the moment?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I don't reach out to people. Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks. Hi, Abraham 32.
All of me stuff, can you?
No, I'm very aware that that's what I'm feeling, and that's why I don't reach out in the moment.
Hey, Ashley, I see you. Sorry.
When it comes to my mental health, especially, and when it came to my Lyme disease, that was a real eye opener for me, because I was very, very sick for a very long time, and I still have, the side effects of chronic Lyme. But in the moment, from 2014, I think it started kind of 2012. With I had 3 surgeries that year, and I can count on one hand how many friends came and helped me that year. And I have a lot of friends, and I had a lot of people that have said, hey, if you need anything, just give me a buzz. Nobody followed through. And so that to me spoke, you're a burden. Quit asking people for help, just do it yourself. Okay. It pissed my husband off, because I would get off the couch when I wasn't supposed to, and I would try to do things that were too much. I still try to do things that are too much. Because it's just, I've just learned that people aren't as giving, I guess, as they say they are, or it's inconvenient for them, or it's a bad time, or whatever the case is. So I automatically go to that mindset that I'm a burden. I can tell you every single time, with the exception of one, that I have been at the point of suicide has been because I don't want to be a burden to anybody anymore. Every single time but the first time. And the first time was I just wanted out. I wanted to escape the pain that I was feeling. But every time since then, especially since my Lyme diagnosis in 2014, I just don't want to be a burden.
I know that feeling all too well. I think, and in going through therapy and talking to somebody about it, I don't know if your therapist has talked to you or mentioned or presented to you the idea that when somebody does not follow through or doesn't do what they say that they're going to, does not abide by their word. First of all, I'm very much that person that if I give you my word, I do not make promises I cannot keep. That's not how I'm built. So if I don't think that I can follow through on something, I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to do it. Does that make sense? But not everybody's built like me. Not everybody's built like you. Has your therapist mentioned or talked to you about how that has absolutely nothing to do with you?
A little bit, but depression and anxiety lies.
Oh,
and I believe the lies.
Oh, let's get into that, shall we?
Oh God, I don't think we have time in this segment.
Do you have a mechanism when your anxiety flares up? What are some of the things that you do to calm yourself?
We talked about this in our first podcast, actually. I have several crystals, worry stones, if you want to call them that. I have several of those that I carry with me, depending on how heavy I want my purse to be that day. I do breathing techniques. I do get to a happy place mentally, kind of thing, and I try to stay there. A lot of the time, though, I can't self-soothe. And I am reliant on the people around me to help me get to that point. My son is fantastic. Both my boys are fantastic about it. My daughter isn't. She's not quite to the point where she can recognize it coming on. But both the boys deal with it too, so they understand a little better and they can kind of see it. Nate obviously he sees it before I do. He knows what my triggers are. He knows what's going to set me off or what's going to make me anxious before the situation even happens. And so he's really good about steering me another way or suggesting things. And, I'm not one easily controlled, so sometimes I'll fight him on it. A lot of times I'll fight him on it. All the time I fight him on it. But usually he's able to kind of, point me back on the right path and recognize what's happening to me at the time. And the other person is you. You are able to see your empathic nature and everything that we've been through over 30 years. You identify very quickly and are able to process what I'm going through in the moment. Not a lot of people around me do that. So, with being by myself, most of the time I can call somebody, whether it's you, Nate, whoever. But those are my go-tos when it comes to dealing with an anxiety attack.
And after the attack, and you're still muddling through it, and that voice is still in your head, because you, what is the phrase? You are not the voice in your head, you're the one who hears it. So when you hear it in your head telling you that you know, you're not when you hear those things, how do you come out of that? Are you able
That's
to?
funny.
Does it just sit there and simmer until another anxiety attack flares up and then boom, it's there? I'm gonna give you just a tool to use when that happens.
It depends on how far into an anxiety attack I am. If it's just coming on and I can catch it quickly enough, then I can come back out of it and remind myself that it's lying to me. It's not what reality is. It's just it's the anxiety and depression talking. But if I'm deep into it, it'll take me down for a good half an hour before I can stop crying or stop hyperventilating or stop thrashing out. I do a lot of thrashing out with my anxiety. That's how it generally, presents itself. But it just kind of depends on each one.
Have you named it?
Named it? No.
The voice in your head. Have you named it?
I have not.
You need to name it.
I'm gonna have to ask them which names they want.
Then the one that talks you down, the one that tells you you are not worthy, the one that tells you're a burden and that you're no good. That voice.
I can think of a name for it.
Okay. Think of a name for it. And in that moment when you hear that voice, you talk to that voice. Okay? As if you were speaking to a friend.
She's going to get me locked up, you guys. Help me. No, I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying. You know, we get locked up for other reasons.
Hi, Megan.
Hey, Megan. I'm giving you a big hug, Megan. Big hug, my love. No, you need to talk to it and say, like, I don't know what name you're gonna give it, but Karen.
Thanks, Steph. We'll see you soon.
Bye. Hey, Karen. Stop that. I know what you're trying to do, Karen, but I love you. I'm mad at you right now.
But I don't love that voice. That voice in my head, to me, is a different entity altogether. It's not who I am. I hear it in another voice.
Oh no.
No, I mean, because the words that we hear, I was so verbally damaged in my first marriage and in junior high and high school. Not so much high school, but junior high and in my first marriage, that there are voices that I still hear.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They're in that voice.
Oh yeah. They stay with you. They are a part of you. That's what I'm saying. You are the longest relationship you are ever going to have. And if you cannot love all of you, including that voice, it's going to be very difficult. You might not like what they're saying. You need to flip that script and say, look, Karen, stop.
Yes.
I get it. I get what you're trying to do. We're not going to pass that barrier right now. I'm done listening to you. I love you, but I'm done listening to you. Does that make sense? You need to flip that script and not let that person in. But you have to treat it like a friend. Like a friend that you're like, we're going to talk good things about me now, Karen. Karen, you're going to eat a lot of chocolate and some cake, and we're going to give you some bubble baths, and you're going to be okay, Karen. So you can treat people better. You can treat me better. So you have to learn, you got to flip that script. And I'm not just talking about you, I'm talking about anybody who's watching this. Flip the script on the voice that you're hearing in your head. You are not that voice. You are the one who hears it. So talk to it like that. Tell it to shut the F up, dude. You have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. I am the shit. That's what you need to tell. Not me. I'm just saying that's what you need to tell the voice in your head that's telling you, no, you are unapologetically dope, Karen.
It's funny because I can I can sit back and look at someone else berate themselves and tell them, you know, would you say that to a friend? Would you say that to your 6-year-old self? Would you say that to that 14-year-old girl that you used to be? Of course not. You're not going to say those things to someone you love. But when it comes to myself, I'm the martyr, and I take all of that in here, and it's so challenging to stop accepting what that voice has been saying for 45 years. You know, it's just so difficult, and so I get the struggles that people have, and I hope that people get my struggles.
Aló.
But it's incredibly hard to break 45 years of a habit.
Oh, I know.
Especially when all those other voices are in there, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I know.
I'm gonna get committed. That's all there is to it. You're walking down the street, Herman, I love you, but knock it off. Ma'am, we have a pretty little white coat here for you. Come with us.
Oh, nope. You just tell them that's my imaginary friend. Or if somebody says...
That won't get me locked up.
No. Not today. Not today's day and age, I don't think. Anyway. That's one coping mechanism. And it's not just for you. I'm just using you as an example.
I'm always the guinea pig.
every there's always a guinea pig, right? Everybody's different. Everybody's going to handle it different. So I'm just really using you as the example of name it. Flip the script, name that voice in your head, and tell it to shut up. Look, I'm busy right now trying to deal with this. I can't deal with you too.
I'm good at telling other people to shut up, so I just got to learn to tell myself to shut up.
But it's not, it's Karen. Tell Karen to other ways is when you're in that to acknowledge the past trauma of the abandonment. Because for you specifically, and for others too, my curls are unruly right now. To acknowledge the past trauma and to be able to separate the moment that you're in from the past trauma.
Right.
And that's a really hard thing to do.
Well, absolutely.
I know, but the more self-awareness that you have as you're going through the healing process, the more self-awareness that you have, the easier it becomes. It's like anything in practice, you know?
Yeah.
You have to step outside of yourself and go, okay, in this moment, which is one of my favorite phrases, in this moment, because that's all we ever really have, is in this moment. In this moment, am I reacting to the actual situation? Am I observing the situation? Am I becoming the emotion? Or is that a past experience that's rearing its ugly head, that's like triggering me, that's making me feel, that's an ingrained, like unconsciously associating a past trauma with the current situation? That majority of where the fear of rejection and abandonment comes from. It's associating a past trauma with the current situation and in the moment. So when I'm talking to you about different techniques and different things, it's not just you, it's mostly for our viewers. It's mostly for anybody who's watching.
Sure. No, absolutely.
If you happen to take anything from it, fantastic. If I am just feeling things that you already know, then please don't interrupt me, because not everybody knows that.
Shut up, Karen.
Karen, Susan. When you observe yourself in a situation where that feeling comes over you, that fear is washing over you, anxiety is starting to creep up. And we'll talk more about anxiety in the next, well, pretty much every podcast. Pretty much.
Well, I mean, you and I both have anxiety, so.
Yes.
You get what you get, you don't throw a fit. On a podcast, this is what you get.
Right. In the moment, to be gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
Because your feelings are valid. they're valid. So that's just one technique, one tip that I can give you is first of all, acknowledge your past trauma in the moment. Try to separate yourself from your past trauma and the current situation if you can observe it objectively in the moment. Be gentle with yourself before, during, and after whatever's happening. And again, practice self-awareness. And that just goes through more of your spiritual life.
Sure.
Becoming more aware of yourself and to do the work. Guided meditation is something else that I would recommend. There is one called Rain and I wrote this down. It's a rain meditation for self-compassion, and it's led by Tara Brock, I believe. But it's an acronym as well. So R is for recognizing the trauma and the loss. A for acknowledging, accepting, and allowing that it happened. I is the investigate the experience. I like to investigate things, and I analyze the crap out of everything. And N is non-identification with the experience. So don't over-identify with it. Meaning, don't try to over-analyze the situation. Okay, I'm in this situation and somebody makes me feel like X, Y, and Z, but this is really coming from my mother doing this to me. Like, don't over-analyze it. Just recognize and acknowledge that this is coming from a past experience. Also, so Rain, guided meditation, I would recommend that. I think it's I think it's a YouTube video, maybe?
Okay.
I think. Any guided meditation is good. It's about 20-25 minutes, and it's worth it because it's an audio thing. Sometimes it's visual, but it's not anything you have to sit and read and like focus and concentrate on. You just have to kind of listen like you were going to listen to music, or if you listen to audiobooks, which I love audiobooks. That's a good one. So you can find a couple of other guided meditations. I know that Cara Kelly's husband does a guided meditation. Brandon Kelly does a guided meditation. It's really good. Super good. So that helps. And stop generalizing is another tip that I wrote down. So like in a childhood fear of abandonment, you could be assuming that scenario will play out again. Like that's the unrealistic fear of. But because every situation is different, you cannot generalize every situation is going to happen or end the same. So that's...
And sometimes we can project that onto situations, and it ends up turning into what we fear because we dwell on it so much.
You manifest it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, because you have... And part of it is you unconsciously tie that past trauma to it, but then you start thinking about it, and then you start feeling what that feeling was in the past trauma, and then you associate it, and then you overanalyze, and then you generalize, well, this happened last time, so it's going to happen again. So, fact check, that's another thing. I think I talked about it, though, already. So, to distance yourself from the situation, from the past trauma. I told you to name the voice, so that's the other thing. Journaling. In or shortly thereafter, a moment happens.
Yeah.
Even if you have to do a voice recording and write it down later.
And I do that. I do that a lot. I have a note app on my phone that I will write things down that I want to journal about later.
And I think that's a great tip for people out there who don't always have the time to sit and journal, or to write, or even have the mindset to write in any given moment. Oh, we got 27 seconds remaining. Okay, so we're going to continue this probably next week as we go into fear of the unknown and the uncontrollable. Thank you for anybody who tuned in. See, this is why we go 2 hours, because there's just so much to freaking talk about. Do the work, though. Find like-minded people and tune into our podcast because we can help you. Okay, love you. Bye.